Welcome to Theme Weavers, your weekly wisdom for weaving yoga themes into your classes to inspire your students. I'm your host, Heidi Kasner. Let's get started. Welcome, Theme Weavers. Today we're going to look at how to deliver a Dharma talk and weave the theme of the myth of Kali, which teaches us to release what no longer serves us with courage and awareness, clearing space for transformation and freedom. In case this is the first episode you're listening to, please go back and check out Season 1, Episode 2 of the Theme Weavers podcast for details and background on the structure of how and why to weave themes through your yoga classes. Every episode, I break down a new theme for you to use in your classes as inspiration for you and your students. And if you're not a yoga teacher, every episode you can deepen your knowledge of yoga theming and philosophy to help you tap into more of your practice beyond asana, beyond the postures. If you choose to use today's teaching on Kali as your theme, please find a way to turn my voice into yours. Make this theme authentic to you specifically. And just a few housekeeping items to bring up before we dive into today's episode. I'll be as quick as I can. Your feedback means the world to me, so please feel free to comment on the episode directly where you listen to it, or reach out on Instagram or Facebook, or send me an email directly or in person if you're in the Massachusetts area, because hearing from you keeps me inspired and connected to community, which means everything to me. So thank you. If you are so inclined and enjoy the podcast, there is an option to set up a subscription to Theme Weavers for a small monthly fee. If you're a chromatic yoga teacher, especially, consider subscribing to the podcast, as paid subscribers are able to track their listening hours as continuing education for chromatic yoga. Drop me a line at themeweaverspodcast@gmail.com if you have any questions about that at all. And if you enjoy Theme Weavers, please follow the show and leave a review wherever you listen. It really does make a difference. And lastly, two pieces of exciting news. If you haven't heard, Theme Weavers Academy has officially launched. It's a quick, practical course designed to help you craft impactful yoga classes with confidence and creativity. Check out the link in the show notes to learn more and join me on this transformative journey. Plus, I've written a book called Energize Your Life, a chakra workbook for personal transformation. It's so exciting how it's been received so far. Please visit HeidiKasnerYoga.com/chakra book for details, and the link is in the show notes too. So thanks for tuning in. Let's dive into today's episode. Still from my closet, but a new view. I put this cute little tapestry behind me, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, yoga story time. Today I'm going to share with you a story about the myth of Kali, a goddess of immense power and transformation, often misunderstood, but always deeply profound. Kali's story is one of destruction, yes, but not for the sake of chaos. It's about clearing away what no longer serves us so that truth and freedom can emerge. Before I get into the story, I have seen a few different versions of this myth, all of which have a very similar theme and story to it, but each differ with some of the details. So please know, if you have heard a different iteration, that neither of us are necessarily wrong. It just depends where we learned it from. Okay, the one that I know, the myth begins on a battlefield. The demon Raktabij was wreaking havoc, and none of the gods could defeat him. Raktabij had a terrifying power. Every drop of his blood that touched the ground would give birth to another demon just like him. The gods tried their best, but with each wound they inflicted, more demons arose. It seemed impossible to kill a demon like Raktabaj. Finally, they called upon the goddess Durga. Durga is a warrior goddess who fights evil and demonic forces and is said to represent the power of good over evil. Just a brief little sidebar for you here, because I think it's important to give us some context into the characters. As I've mentioned in past episodes, Hindu mythology can be a little bit confusing, at least for me, because different gods take on different forms as they are reborn. We have Shiva, the god of destruction we talked about in some of the past myths together this season. He's considered to be the husband of Durga, who is often identified as his wife by the name Parvati. Essentially, Durga and Parvati are the same deity in different manifestations. with Durga tending to represent the active warrior aspect of the divine feminine power known as Shakti, while Parvati embodies the more nurturing and domestic side of feminine power. So I hope this helps clarify who is who, since they're kind of the same, but different iterations. Okay, so back to the story. Here we go. In her wisdom, Durga knew this battle required a power unlike any other, so she summoned Kali from her forehead, of course. Kali was a fierce and unstoppable force that had a giant tongue, and every drop of blood that Raktabaj spilled, she would drink up so the blood didn't hit the ground to create more of the demon, right? Every drop of blood created more of the same demon. They just multiplied. So if the blood never touches the ground, no more versions of him. Kali charged into the battlefield, her eyes blazing, her sword swinging. She moved with wild intensity, defeating Raktabaj and all the demons that he spawned. But her ferocity was so great, right? She's in this trance of like, oh, that she couldn't stop herself. She continued to destroy everything in her path. The gods grew frightened and called upon Shiva to intervene. Remember, Shiva is married to Parvati, and Durga is a manifestation of Parvati, and Kali was born out of Durga's forehead. So, in a way, Kali, I guess, is the same as Shiva's wife in some way, shape, and form. So Shiva lay down in Kali's path, and when Kali stepped on him, she realized what she was doing and paused. In that moment, her destructive energy was transformed into awareness and calm. Kali's story is not about destruction for its own sake. It's about clearing away what is harmful, stagnant, or untrue so that healing and transformation can occur. Her battle is a metaphor for the inner work we do in yoga, identifying the thoughts, habits, and fears that no longer serve us and having the courage to release them. She is this fierce goddess of transformation. Did I mention what she looked like beyond just having a really big tongue that stuck out? I don't think I did yet. So picture this. Kali has fangs, the tongue sticking out, disheveled hair, dripping with blood, and wears a garland of skulls with weapons in every hand. You don't mess with Kali. But she is also the essence of freedom, the force within that sets you free. But like Kali on the battlefield, sometimes we go too far. Perhaps we lash out in anger, overcorrect a mistake, or allow fear to overwhelm us. That's where Shiva's wisdom comes in, reminding us to pause, breathe, and bring awareness to our actions. In our modern lives, this story might resonate during times when you're clinging to something. Maybe it's a toxic relationship, a limiting belief, or even an outdated version of yourself. Kali reminds you that letting go can be fierce and messy, but it's necessary to create space for something new. You can also invoke Kali's energy in times of crisis, whether it's an illness, a heartbreak, financial loss, or any time a new boundary is pushed. In those moments, Kali would draw her sword and cut off the stubborn ego or fears and remind you of what truly matters in life. Essentially, we call on Kali in critical times when action must be taken. A similar theme arises to the one we talked about with Shiva's cosmic dance back in episode 54. Creation cannot exist without destruction. So as we move through our practice today, think of each pose as an act of clearing and creating. Feel the strength of Kali in your warrior poses, the release of fear in forward folds, and the calm awareness of Shiva in moments of stillness. Let your breath guide you, reminding you that transformation isn't just about what you destroy, it's about what you build in its place. Boom. So that's my Dharma talk, or an expanded version of the Dharma talk that I tend to give in classes about Kali. I usually have more like style music too, which is a little different for me. And it's always like my warrior, not like warrior, like Virabhadrasana warrior, but like my like, oh, we're about to get gritty and destructive because we need to clear away some. Yeah, I say the S word, maybe I don't, but we got to clear it away in order to create the space to transform into what we know we need. Okay, so your Dharma Talk story time is finished. And now it's time to get into the class and find a phrase to drop as breadcrumbs throughout the class at different points to help your students come back to this idea of the myth of Kali. You follow the breadcrumbs, then you stay on course, staying with our theme. So some options for the phrase I'd like to drop as my breadcrumbs throughout class are step into your power and clear what no longer serves you, or feel the fierce power of Kali as you move through this pose, or each exhale is a release, making space for something new. Or how about something like channel Kali's courage and grit to destroy what's in your way? Or maybe even just simply, what can you let go of to create space for growth? Or another question, because I love questions, how can you embody and balance the fierce grace of Kali and the calm wisdom of Shiva? What do you need to destroy to make space for what's to come? That one's usually like a big hit. What do you need to destroy in this moment to make space for what's to come? Okay, maybe you have other thematic 3-line phrases that you could use as well, but those are some options that I use. So let's have a little chit chat about how we bring all of this alive in class. What additional things do you think we should hit on? Things like peak poses or specific pranayamas, or really anything else related to the Kali myth. Okay, so when I tend to teach this class, and I actually got this from Farron back in the day, I tend to combine a peak pose of goddess pose with a pranayama of lion's breath. Lion's breath is sort of imagining that you're sticking out your tongue like Kali. And I combine all of that with Kali Mudra, what we like to call it. So that's when your fingers are interlaced with the index finger extended upward. So if you're watching right now, this is Kali Mudra. So every time you do a lion's breath, you cut the mudra from up to down like you're slicing a sword through space. So let me talk you through this if you're not sure what I'm saying. Okay, so Kali Mudra, everyone, is when you interlace everything but your pointer finger and you leave your pointer finger facing up. Now reach your arms up and overhead. You can do it with me if you're watching the video. If not, just imagine. Every time that we exhale a lion's breath, which we can call Kali breath for today, and if you're not familiar, a lion's breath is when you take a deep breath in through your nose, and as you exhale, you'll stick your tongue out forcefully. I know if you're watching, it's kind of silly, but whatever, that's cool. It's a really empowering breath. Every time we do that breath, we're also going to slice our sword from top to bottom, slicing through what stands in our way, right? We're cutting down the things that are holding us back. So if we were to do that together, take a breath in, reach your arms up. And as you exhale, take a lion's breath and slice your Kali sword through space. Right? So if you're not watching it, you're just hearing me make weird noises. But there's a video that goes along with this and you can watch. So on the inhale, your arms go up, Kali Mudra in hand. Exhale, Kali breath, Kali sword. And you can do that, and I like doing it in goddess pose. It's really empowering. And you can even do it with like you're lifting the heels up on the inhale. And as you exhale, making that lion's breath and slicing the sword, you also drop your heels down. So it's like this really dramatic. You can picture it. But you can do that in like any of your layering poses where your arms are overhead. It's really fun. It usually creates a really fun class for everybody. That's a cool thing to be able to do. I have to be in the right mindset though to teach it, because I always feel a little bit vulnerable when I teach this class, but it's super fun and powerful. You can also offer a meditation at one point where you're visualizing Kali's fierce energy cutting through the obstacles in your life. With each breath, imagine clearing space for freedom, truth, and growth. So that's like the biggest thing to really hit home on, right? You're using Kali energy to help you cut through the obstacles that stand in your way. And you can do that as a guided meditation for people to picture what it is that they need to cut through, what obstacles are standing in their way. There's also a mantra, Om Kali Ma, and that's a mantra used to invoke Kali's transformative energy, if you like to use mantra in your practice. There's also some quotes that I like. There's one, sometimes letting go is an act of far greater power than hanging on. And Eckhart Tolle said that. So that's a quote that I like to usually intersperse. And sometimes I take this myth and I'm really general about what it is that we want to transform. And sometimes I teach this class and it's more specific around limiting thoughts and beliefs that hold us back. right? A lot of people need to learn to destroy these limited beliefs to make space for how we know we should treat ourselves. So something like that would be, I usually give the example how I'm really mean to myself. I don't want to be. I've done so much work, but I tend to be really mean. I look in the mirror and I see all of the perceived flaws rather than all the beautiful things about myself. And I do the same in my practice. Like I'll cut myself down and think about all the negative parts about my body or my mind or my physical practice. And I need to clear that junk out. It does nothing but harm me. So I need to slash those limiting beliefs that are holding me back from standing in my true power, my true beauty, my true greatness. And this class can be so powerful because everybody has a limiting belief in one way or another, whether it's involving their class, like the specific class, or just in their lives. So it's a pretty cool and powerful class in that way. And then in a more focused Kali class like that, I do offer a quote of destroy what destroys you. I don't know who said it. It's an unknown quote, but destroy what destroys you. It's super powerful when we think about it that way because we do destroy ourselves often with these thoughts that hold us back. All right, so that's what I have. Let's wrap up the class now that we talked about all of that with our reverse Dharma talk, the closing to the class that helps us bring us back to this theme so they can take it off the mat. So I'd say something like, as you prepare to leave your mat, take a moment to reflect on Kali's story. Life will always bring challenges, and there will be times when you need to release what no longer serves you. But remember, letting go isn't just about destruction. It's about transformation. Kali's power teaches us that clearing the old creates space for something new. Her story reminds you to face life's obstacles with courage and to embrace change, even when it feels uncomfortable. And like Shiva, her calm counterpart, you have the wisdom to pause, reflect, and move forward with awareness. As you walk off your mat today, ask yourself, what can I let go of? What can I destroy in order to create space for growth? How can I embody the fierce grace of Kali and the calm wisdom of Shiva in my everyday life? All right, yogis, if you liked this yoga story time, find a way to bring the theme alive in your own voice, in your own practice and teaching. The story of Kali teaches us to release what no longer serves us with courage and awareness, clearing space for transformation and freedom. May this myth inspire you to embrace change with strength and grace, both on and off the mat. Then please reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, email, carrier pigeon, I don't know, however you want to get in touch, and let me know how it lands. Carrier pigeon. I'm here to support you, fellow yoga teacher, in your class preparation and delivery. So let me know how I can be of the most support. Tune in next time for a new myth, for inspiration for your classes. And don't forget to check out our course, Theme Weavers Academy, Crafting Impactful Classes. Click the link in the show notes to learn more and enroll. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next week with a new myth and modern inspiration to bring to your practice and your teaching. See you next time.